Hello and welcome to Unit 6. Thank you so much for that political debate last unit. That was a lot of fun. And this unit is titled Feminist, Anti-Racist, and Postmodern Critiques. This should be fun. Unfortunately, there is no online chat discussion this week, even though, gosh, I should create one because this is a great unit. But there is no unit, no chat, so that you can submit your policy debate reflection or political debate reflection. So the reading this week is from Mullally and Dupre. It's posted on my booth online. It is the Feminist, Anti-Racist, and Postmodern Critiques chapter out of their book, The New Structural Social Work, Ideology, Theory, and Practice. Okay, so feminism. There is a lot of talk in the text about what that is, and feminists draw attention to the fact that women experience a different social world, including the welfare state, than men. The differences experienced by women in the Canadian context are very similar to those of other Anglo democracies. So some examples of that are women have the greatest responsibility for the family, including child care and elder care. So women are, they're known as cradle to the grave caregivers. Women are among the poorest groups in Canadian society. Women over 65, women living with disabilities, Indigenous women, and lone mothers are among Canada's poorest. In 2014, women comprise 50.1% of the Canadian population, aged 55 to 59 years of age, and increasing to 63% for people over 85 to 89 years of age, and 72% for those 90 years of age and over. Women still experience occupational segregation in many sectors of the labor force and receive lower earnings, benefits, and pensions. Women remain significantly underrepresented in legislatures, cabinets, the courts, and senior levels of public services and business corporations. There are gender inequalities with respect to access to social programs, benefits, levels, rights, and redistributive outcomes. So, for example, the neoliberal state views women as principally responsible for social reproduction, yet fails to provide the necessary supports to engage in this work, such as access to publicly funded daycare and a public prescription/medication plan, pay equity, and so on. Women also experience more adversely the results of cutbacks to social services. And so there are different kind of strains of feminism. So liberal feminism, socialist feminism, radical feminism, and that's described in the Mullally and Dupre text. Just to continue with feminism, radical feminists, they critique the internal culture of social welfare organizations for its patriarchal nature, and they propose alternative social service organizations established by feminist social service workers that are characterized in varying degrees by democratic organizational culture. What does that look like? Participation of workers and service users in decision making, a shared or agreed upon model of leadership, the accommodation of caring responsibilities within the organization's operations and employment policies, consensus and discussion as the basis of decision making rather than decisions coming from the top down, and a respectful workplace free of harassment. So of those three, liberal, socialist, and radical feminism, which one do you think is the most progressive? Do you think that progressive social work should adopt these views? An argument that is sometimes heard is that only members of a particular oppressed group can really understand the hardships and problems experienced by that group. So, for instance, when I was at Wilfrid Laurier, there is an indigenous stream, an MSW indigenous stream, and there's all sorts of well-meaning people, I'm sure, that are not indigenous, that want to enter the program and be these saviors for the indigenous population. Is that appropriate? Will they ever understand it? Truly understand the what oppression looks like for that group? So only members of any particular oppressed group should practice social work with that group, which was kind of implied in some conversations. It's certainly not the approach Laurier took, but there were certainly conversations about that. So in other words, another example is only female social workers should work with women. Only Indigenous social workers should work with Indigenous persons. Only social workers from racialized groups should work with persons from racialized groups, and so on and so on. So what do you think of that position? To go back to the Laurier example, there were lots. Well, I don't want to get too political about it. So I'm going to drop that, actually. So conversely, can social workers from subordinate groups work with members of dominant groups? So can female social workers work with men? Can Indigenous social workers work with white people? And so on. What do you think of that? I love this. I love this chapter. I really should have created a chat discussion, and maybe I will, because we talk about the holy trinity of oppression: race, gender, class, and those are they're categories, they're ways of putting people into boxes, but they're not really looking at what is causing oppression, really. I mean, if we're really looking at what gender, race, class means, what we're looking at is we're talking about patriarchy, white supremacy, and a predatory economic system. That's what we're really talking about, and that's what we should be talking about. But it's unpopular, to create a course called white supremacy, patriarchy, and a predatory economic system. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be adopted. But gender, race, class, we can certainly all agree on that. But is it really getting at the heart of the issue? At any rate, consider these things while you read the course, and we will connect next week. All right, thank you. Bye.